Hey everybody out there in YouTube, Sam Dennehy, aka Halfass Customs, and today's special guest, all the way from Detroit, is Tom Orlando. I don't know much about the guy except for what I can see on his Facebook group, or not his Facebook group, the Facebook group, the 187 Scale Vehicles group, because he's got the group photo um, for that group. And looking at all his stuff that he's posted, he seems to be a classic car guy, commercial vehicle guy, and I, maybe a train layout guy. I'm not sure. But we're going to get into all of that and more in this upcoming interview. So without further ado, let's stay tuned for Tom Orlando, see what this guy's
Oh my
all about.
gosh. Wow. Hey, everybody out there. This is Sam Dennehy, aka Halfass Customs, and this is Halfass Presents the podcast. We've been dealing with this for about an hour. We've been dealing with this for an hour. I finally got this recorded started, and today's special guest is Tom Orlando. Orlando
Yeah.
From Detroit.
Yep.
You guys probably know from the 187 scale Facebook group. He's got the group picture. So that's who this is that we're going to be hearing from today. So, Tom, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got in this hobby?
Well, I got in this hobby with, the passion to pretty much to make dioramas from day one. I've always been trying to set up, wooded areas to make my trains go through just on the countertops of my parents' old house as kids. And then it just grew on from there. And then it went into the military building and making dioramas for airplane models to set on like tarmacs and stuff like that. And then it grew into the trains. And then I never really had a space to make a layout until I really had a well-established house and family. And that really kind of meant, okay, let's go forward with making a layout and see where it goes, and kind of where we are today.
That's awesome, man. That I don't even have a layout, but I mean, I'm not a train guy, but I think if I were to have a layout, the train would be in the background and I would use the city and the streets and the cars for the foreground.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy both. Good train movement and good vehicle paint and good lighting and all that stuff. It all adds into the same. And I think having a little bit of everything, and I think spending as much time as on one thing, you can't be selfish on all the other. And I think then it'll balance out. And it really pays off when you do pay the same amount of attention on just the cars, and then all of a sudden the people, and then all of a sudden, oh, hey, let's go into the weeds. Oh, hey, let's start airbrushing weeds.
Do you do that? Airbrush weeds?
Yeah, I get some different tones of gray. I've seen a lot of modelers that I pay attention to, especially that do a lot of scenery stuff, and they'll use like light shades of tan and stuff to make the tips of the darker. It just adds a little more of a detail. And maybe not everybody notices it. I won't even tell anybody, but yeah, sometimes here and there you'll see some different shades of straw grass, tall grass that never got chopped down. But it pays off. It does looks good in the lighting too.
That's cool, man. I never even thought about airbrushing, weeds for one. I mean, I guess if you're doing like the base coat for, say, a wooded area or whatever, you paint that so underneath looks like it's soil or whatever, but I never thought about doing actual weeds.
Yeah, because the static grass that you can get, the really longer stuff that you have to cut yourself, it tends to then look blah, like that's it. There's no shades differences, and I think colors all play into a shade factor, whereas you could give thick and thin look with just color differences, and that right there, that tells you, elevation as well. I mean, you can have multiple different reasons why you got the paint on there, but I definitely think, giving it a dead look compared to like maybe a half dead look in a different area. Maybe somebody threw a can of gas over in an area and killed just a swash of it. So you can kind of mimic that with an airbrush and some tan paint. Pretty easy.
No, that totally makes sense. I just never thought of doing it. Obviously I know plenty of people will weather their scenery, but I just figure like with a spray can, you're just lightly spraying over certain areas with different shades of green or different shades of browns or whatever to, like you said, make it look weathered, make it look maybe like there's different like dead grass compared to live grass or whatever.
Right.
I mean, that was
Yeah,
what
because
I would do, because I wouldn't think about airbrushing individual little tiny spots or whatever, but that would make a big difference.
yeah, it definitely highlights some areas too. When it's just a dull area, you can kind of give a little bit of a character to it. And I don't know, it plays. I like the airbrush effect, but I definitely think that everything's gonna, be more dead than it will be alive. So if everything's got like a gray tone to it or a tan tone to it, it tends to look more realistic in the photographs too. Maybe, I guess it's hard to say because I've looked at my photographs compared to what I look at it in real life, and it looks totally different. Like I can't even tell you. I mean, you got to see it in person. It looks totally different. I don't know how I can tell anybody to, look through a photograph and say, "Hey, that is right." But
You think
maybe
maybe lighting has to do with
yeah,
it?
I think lighting could be a little bit of it, but I definitely think the lighting that I have highlights a lot of the detail work that you can. It shows a lot more in life than my photos can get. It's hard to say. I'm definitely playing with a lot of lighting and stuff, and I'm learning a lot from a lot of people that have been doing it for a long time too. So like I'm so fresh and just an amateur at taking photos, but I'm having so much fun doing it, and I'm
That's
definitely
really,
love learning from other people.
that's awesome. Yeah, I really looking through the Facebook group at a lot of your posts. Well, I'm looking at all your posts. A lot of your posts are 3D printed cars, which are awesome. And then a lot of your posts are LED cars. And like even your trailer. I'm looking at that trailer with that like corn grain.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That old
yeah.
trailer's moved up.
Combine, case combine.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
thing
that
is
was
awesome,
cool.
man.
That truck, that had a very, very low profile to play with, and I really had a challenge on that, and I knew I wanted it, and I have plenty more that are coming. I have these Tampers up here that are going to be all low boy ridden, and I have some favorite PNR Railworks, decals that I'm going to put on my trucks, and but they all have low boys, and they have really low profiles, and they're going to require me to actually take them and CNC cut some pockets in them to make them work. So that might be some cool things that I might be able to take pictures of and show. But it's definitely something totally custom, and trying to fit these LEDs and lights in are it's a challenge, but it's to the point now it's more fun now than a challenge. And I think I'm having fun seeing what they look like it is at the end result rather than, oh no, here's another one. So it's
Well, yeah,
kind of
the end
cool.
results are always the best.
It is. And the more you get, the more you can light up, and then I'm just having fun doing it, and I'm going to start doing it for other people, and I want to try to get as much out there as possible. And not I don't want to charge an arm and a leg for people to do this because it's so fun for me to do, but I definitely want to get some light up trucks for people, and I think it'd be kind of
That's
fun
awesome,
to
man.
see my stuff out there too.
That's
But yeah, I'm
great.
going to try to get every car in the layout lit up. We'll see.
Man,
It's
so
gonna
I'm
be
looking at this post that you did uh back on the 23rd of last month of your elevated road with the city in the background, and just the amount of cars in this one photo. Like there's all these trucks on the freeway or the highway or the road or the bridge, and then all the cars in the background on the ground level. Ooh, that's a lot of lights.
Yes, it is. They're going to mostly be static and they'll be permanent, like in the car show, because I'm definitely going to have that car show is totally meant for that diner and everything. And
Yeah.
my daughter, actually, that's her name and that's her diner, and she picked everything about it. So we're kind of
Oh, that's
making everything, family oriented about the layout as well too. So family helps out a lot and they get their input presented.
awesome.
But yeah, we're gonna make the cars static, and then the ones that'll be lit up, like at a car show, you're not gonna have a lot of cars with the headlights on, so they're all pretty much gonna be
Right.
chilling. But we're gonna have some cars rolling in with some, running lights on, orange running lights. I'm a muscle car fan too, so having orange running lights on driving around is like a huge thing for me. So I definitely, we're gonna do that.
Yeah, that's a must. And just for anybody watching, if you're watching and not just listening, I'll have photos of what we're talking about over this video so you can actually see what we're trying to talk about and what we're explaining. But yeah, I mean, lights, muscle cars, hot rods, you gotta have it. Every city
Yep.
has them. You have to have it too.
Yep. Yep. We're gonna have burnout somewhere. We're gonna have burnout marks everywhere.
Yes.
We're gonna have.
Man,
I want to have a food truck court somewhere too, because I'm bringing a lot of culture into the layout because I'm a big fan of culture, and I just want to express that through art form too on the layout. And I believe I'm the only person with 2 Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu dojos on a layout. They have interior. One of them has an interior with people actually doing Jiu-Jitsu stuff, and it's pretty cool, pretty wild.
that's neat.
I have that stuff on Instagram. We'll have to start posting some of the interior shots of some buildings. But yeah, definitely, I'm going to bring some culture, and we'll have some taco trucks, some food trucks, and some different cultural foods. And I think we'll have like a big convention. And I want to have like a big area where there's a lot of people. I think that that'd be kind of neat to have play out. It'd be a challenge to keep everybody sticking and staying straight up without, oh no, I'm going to straighten up this guy and knock 2 other guys over. So we'll see how that goes. But I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of ideas on the layout.
So I would say just build a parking lot in between a few
Yeah.
buildings. Like it would be the parking lot for those buildings, and then on the weekends the parking lot's open for car shows and the car cruises to come to. I mean, I don't know. That's what I would do. That's kind of what I did do. Thanks with
That's
Joseph.
universal.
Yeah, exactly. But that's awesome. I mean, I really like looking at the photos.
If I take buildings off, giant.
You could build a parking lot if you took the buildings off.
Oh yeah, it's a giant parking lot, and it's a shade of, I call it 50 shades of gray, because every panel of foam has got its own color of asphalt, and every building is completely configurable to where I could make it a different city on the other side of the bridge if I wanted to. But I'm having fun with it now, where I think it's got its home. But I'm definitely going to be changing some of the buildings out with some 3D printed buildings and maybe some backlit interiors. I think that's going to be looking kind of cool for night shots.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if you were able to look at any Vic Smith's photo layouts, but every building he has on his city's edge is all lit up. Every single building.
I'm a big fan of him. I follow
Yeah.
him, and I think he's one of the few photos that I've seen that got me really into wanting to do a city layout or some sort of a modern layout. I think that's
Right.
he's a mentor to me. And a lot of guys out. I'm not going to single out anyone and one builder, but there's so many people out there that just have so much influence in me to what this layout is now. And I just, thank everybody for it. I think it's kind of cool how the hobby evolves like that. It kind of builds itself, and there's a little bit of everybody in here on South Detroit.
That's what's neat about the day and age we live in, because with the social media platform that we have to use, think about before we didn't have this, all we had was magazines to look at or a train convention to go to that you might have been at or whatever. But chances of us being able to lay all our stuff out to show those kind of conventions like the RPM meets, those weren't really that big of a thing back before social media. I mean, they were, but not like they are today. So to see, like, say, Vic Smith stuff in a magazine and think, oh my God, this guy's layout is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. But that's all you get to see is that magazine issue of it. And now with the RPM meet, he invites people to his house and stuff, which
Oh
if you go to St. Louis this year, I'm pretty sure you might be able to see that layout in person.
God, that's a bucket list, and that'd be huge. Yeah, that's the thing. RPM shows are big, and if there would ever be something like I could start one up in Michigan, that'd be, if we could have like a seat, like a season, every state's got their own RPM show, and
Right.
have a little bit of taste of everybody meeting up in like a Super Bowl RPM show. That'd be, I mean, because I think showing off is just as fun as shopping for models, and showing off what we spend hours of doing, more than just to shop. I mean, yeah, the shop shows are definitely needed, and I'm so glad they're back around, because there was a time there I was like, oh my gosh, are we ever going to have change? And yes, we are, and yes, we did.
Right.
But definitely, RPM shows are spotlighted in my life, and I'm going to try to hit up one, and I'm going to attend them and show off what I do. And I think a lot of people want to see it too, up close, and seeing the details. It's so hard to get in the photos, and seeing it up personal, I think, would be the best way to do it.
Well, I'll tell you one of the coolest things about the St. Louis RPM meet, let alone the models displayed on the table, it's the people. Like, you get to meet some of the best in the country at this meet, which is wild. And I don't consider myself nowhere close to the best, but to see somebody go, oh, that's that guy that was on the What's Neat show with Ken Patterson. Like, how do you remember that? I wasn't on it that many times. Like, I've only been on it four
Yeah,
times, maybe.
I seen
But
your
you
echo blast
remember.
on there. That was good.
And you get to see like all those people because he's out there in St. Louis. So everybody that's on the show goes to that St. Louis show. So, to have like a bunch of influential people that you see on podcasts or you just see on Facebook or whatever all the time posting, and that's where you're getting a lot of your ideas from and your influence, to see them in person, then you can actually talk to them. You could talk to them all day. You just talk their ear off and they'll probably be annoyed by you. But hey, you're getting all
Yeah.
that great information that you probably wouldn't
Yes.
get elsewise.
Yes. And then you got it in next year. Hey, remember what you told me? Hey, look at. Oh
Exactly.
yeah. Hey, try this next time. And then it builds a friendship and a relationship. And yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely something I'm liking, and I like the hobby, and I like the people in it I've met so far, and I've met a lot of really good people so far, and lately all of a sudden, and it's just an awesome hobby, and I'm going to try to bring in the modern feel to it. Just
Yeah.
much
Good.
modern things is direct and all HO scale, and so I dibble into a little O scale, but not much N scale yet. Maybe a little bit here and there, but mostly HO scale. I'm a lifelong fan of 187, and it's all I know, and I think it's the best detail too. I think, yeah, you can get some sweet detail with O scale, but I don't know. HO 187 scale is there's anything and everything out there,
Well, and they're making so much.
and it
Yeah,
evolves.
they're making so much stuff for it too now. Say 15 years ago, there was hardly anything, but today, and with the help of 3D printing, you can make anything you want for this scale.
It is. It's true. It is true. You can think it, you can design it, you can draw it, you can make it, you can have it the next day. And it's
Right.
like, what? Is it real or am I dreaming? Yeah, no, it's real. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the really neat thing because back 15, 20 years ago, you're waiting for a manufacturer to come out with it. And chances are they never were going to do that. And now you don't need to wait. You just need to have the know-how and spend a couple hours and you got yourself exactly what you want.
That's it. Oh, it's off a little bit. Okay, hold on a minute. Click, 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 done. Print an
Right.
hour later. Okay, I made it right. Now the door's open too.
It's so funny that you say that because Joseph Livens tells me it is that easy as well, and I might never know.
It's almost like your own little personal victory at work,
Yeah,
in a way. You're like, oh, thank gosh, oh man, that's, you know what, I'm going to use that when I start up the next project, and that's
right.
how projects kind of revolve, and they can almost get out of hand because you really got to rein yourself in on the details and stuff, because if you make things too detailed, you're going to get too fragile, too brittle, and that's going
Mhm.
to be unpaintable, ungrowable, and it's just going to be a mess, and you're going to have to start over, and then it equals just wasted time. So
Right.
learning trial and error is huge in everything, but I
Oh,
definitely I take advice like a drinking water. I mean, I'm an open ear, and nobody can ever have bad advice. I mean, yeah, you can have bad advice, but it's still good advice because you know you're not going to do it, so it's good advice.
that's exactly it. I mean, bad advice is still good advice because then you know what not to do. So that's exactly it. Well, that's great too because when you go to that RPM meet and you display stuff and everybody's listening and watching what you're doing, they're gonna, you know, you're gonna then be the teacher telling them what you did, and they'll be you. Basically, you're listening to everybody tell you, and now they'll be listening to you tell them.
And then the next year they're going to show me something that's going to be like, wow, you guys did that. And that right there is another award in itself that
Oh yeah,
really, it just time
exactly.
tells. And I like that. That's a good
Yeah, they
feeling to
do.
have.
Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. Is that how they say that? Because
Yeah.
you inspired somebody else to do something and now they did it.
Yeah. I think I know there's quotes by Bruce Lee. I'm not going to quote any because I'll probably get them wrong, but I'm definitely loving Bruce Lee and martial arts. So I quote a lot of martial arts stuff. And I know he's definitely saying, you better, you know, teach what expect what your student to understand. He's going to be what you teach, and
Right.
teach well, and
Yeah.
make sure you
Exactly.
teach exactly what you want him to know, or else he's going to run off, and then he's going to spawn off into doing something completely off, and then, oh, hold on, but it was really your fault as a teacher. You got to, so I don't know, it all leads back into how much do you want to work.
No, it is. It is. You're right. But at the same time too, like, I mean, if somebody's that inspired by you and they want to create something too, you don't want to just keep all that, knowledge to yourself. You want to help and see if they can do it too. Because if you're
Sure.
the only one doing it, then you're in a world of one and it's kind of lonely at the top.
It does. And it would be lonely. Yep. But I think books were like a way of the way. They were, and now online data and technology is the next thing. And I think having online classes would be maybe like a Zoom class, like a weathering Zoom class would be something kind of cool. Maybe we'll get something like that. Maybe we can scratch build some cool things that I do around the layout.
That would be pretty neat. And I will tell you, if you go to that RPM meet, they do that throughout the whole meet. They've got these clinics of these people teaching you stuff throughout the whole entire 2 days of that show. Have I gone to any of them? No, because I know everything there is to know. No,
I know, no,
I
we all know. Like, oh, really? How'd you do that?
right. Now I'm more into it, not even really to show all my stuff off, but the people there are really cool people. I mean, they're in the hobby you're in, and they like what you like what they like, and if you talk the same language, you instantly get along. Like Thomas Kelly and Ryan Kelly. I'm not a crane guy. I don't care for them for anything in the world. They don't do anything for me, but they're modelers. They model cranes and I model cars, and we speak the same language, even though I don't understand anything he said. I still understood the
Yeah.
modeling side of it. So that's what's great about these RPM meets is you can You may not model the same thing, but you speak the same language, and it's perfect.
You all have that same passion, that same want, that same, wow, I know it took you 20 hours to build that just part. And it really does. You could feel what they went through to get to that, just to show you. And,
Oh yeah.
it does feel that way when you leave there too. You're like, man, I just did the show just to show these things off. But it's so worth it too, because the hours you put into all the eyes that were laid on it and all the pictures that were taken. And now people are going to be so, like you said, inspired. And that's really what it is.
Here's a funny thing too about that. I'm not complaining, but it's mostly, I guess I might be complaining about myself maybe, that the first time I showed that Ghostbusters car light up, I went to that RPM meet. I thought it blew up the internet on Facebook when I posted on all the train groups and all that stuff. But I thought this would be the show that it got into a magazine and I was interviewed about it. Nope, didn't do that. And
No,
if it did get into a magazine, nobody said anything, and I don't subscribe to them, so I wouldn't know unless somebody told me, and nobody's told me anything. So I'm guessing, nope, not cool enough. As cool as it is, not cool enough.
it is, but it's not. It's like it's like having the wrong guitar in the wrong band.
Exactly.
It's
still a great guitar.
Still cool.
But,
it's wicked cool. They're both awesome. They both do what they need to do really well. But it's,
right.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
That happened.
But it is funny too, because I meet Mike Budd there the first time I go, and he goes, "Oh, I'm so glad you're up here. We'll go out to dinner and I'll get you on Ken's show the next night." I'm like, Ken who? And he was like, Ken Patterson. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know who that is. He was like, wait, what? You don't know who Ken Patterson? And I wasn't watching podcasts back then, and he's a train guy. I'm not really following train people, following car people. And Mike Budd's a car guy and a train guy.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, we'll get you on the show. And I was like, whatever. It doesn't, I don't know. Okay, sure. And then because the show is on a Friday and a Saturday, I was coming home Sunday, and Ken does his show Saturday night. Sometimes doesn't start till 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
I wasn't staying up that late having a 12-hour drive the next day.
That would be so worth it.
We left at 9 before the show even started. But I did go to his house and meet him. I didn't get on his show. But the next year I did go on his show.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, the whole crew out there, they're just a bunch of cool people. And when you get everybody coming from all the other states to come to this show, and you followed them and admired all their work, and you're actually meeting them and for the first time or just meeting them again, it brings up all this excitement like, oh, we're good friends and we're seeing each other again, and now we can talk all day and not have to worry about just typing out sentences left and right.
That's
like we can actually communicate face to face. It's cool.
Right on. Yeah, because that's how we communicate. So it's a different form of how we can meet as friends and be as friends. And it's like, oh, hey, now we can meet each other in person, and it gives us that different. I don't know. There's a word for it. I'm not going to put something.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, definitely enjoy.
Because like when you're reading,
I enjoy seeing the people like the modelers that I like to like that I idolize. I'm sure they will be there, and it's like good to put a face to them, and it's good to.
Well, like I've said numerous times, you post a picture, you put a description of what that picture is, and then that's all we know of the picture. We don't know you, the modeler, and we don't know really what the modeling that picture was supposed to mean or what it was supposed to capture or whatever. And that was the whole point of this podcast, is so we can get to know the modeler. But even now with the podcast, and then you get to go to the show, people might be listening to this and like, he's a cool guy. I want to meet that guy. But until you meet that person, you still don't really know that person. Because I'm just speaking to you, and you're speaking to me. You're not really speaking to a live audience and answering their questions or whatever. So as much as we know each other just by us talking, person listening won't know you fully until they get to talk to you. and
Yeah, I
see
agree.
your reactions to their questions or whatever.
I agree. And like there's something else that's been on my mind too, as far as like groups of people, and like there's a world of Facebook people, and then you go to the train shows and there's not even a single person there who's, I mean, there's people there who haven't even heard of Facebook, and they have the most elaborate layouts I've ever seen. And they don't even know anything about the people that have the elaborate layouts on Facebook. And it's like,
Right.
those worlds have not collided yet. And there's two worlds of model railroading right now that exist that don't know each other. And it's crazy to me knowing
Right.
that. And being, you know, into the model railroading world all of a sudden pretty big time, and meeting a lot of people, you find the out people that don't even exist in the Facebook world. And like, you're like,
Right.
oh, did you see that tamper I just built? Like, no, what tamper? What are you talking about? What do you build stuff? Yeah, I do. You know, something like that. So it's like, it's
Um,
weird to me still that happened, that is existing.
I think it's a generational thing. I think, and I don't know, I didn't do any research, but just from people that I know, just from clients or customers when I was a technician for the cable company, at a certain age of your life, technology seems to start passing you by. Yet you still might be into the hobby, but the technology around you in the world we live in, you're still stuck in your time frame while the rest of the world keeps moving on. So for instance, say a 75-year-old person, one of the best layouts in the world, he's never been on social media, has no idea what it is. You'll never know about it. You'll never know. And it could be the best model, best railroad in the whole entire world, and we'll never know because the technology portion of his life is still stuck in the 70s or whatever.
It's so crazy, and it's so real, and it's sad in a way, but it's not, and it's just how life is.
It really is. But that's what's great about social media is the amount of people that it's reached. A world that was so spread apart hobby wise is now a lot closer, even though it's not, one, it's just a lot closer now. We can see so much more stuff than we were ever able to before.
And yeah, it's coming alive. I mean, ideas are just, I can't imagine in 5 years the amount of the way the models are going to be revolving into what they're probably going to have scents that smell like diesel fuel, or they probably already do. I mean, I don't know what it's going to come to, but we're already in the dream era of when I was a kid, of what I could say, hey, this would be a dream if we could have that. We're beyond that. I mean,
Right.
we're light years beyond that.
Here's the funny thing.
It's pretty.
This guy in Germany, or you know what, I just say Europe, somewhere in the European continent of this world, took one of uh Mad About Cars Impalas, 63 Impala, and he completely motorized it to drive back and forth and turn and stuff. And then he scratch built these gears in order for it to lift up like a lowrider.
In hydraulics and do three-wheel motion.
And
Yes.
in 187 scale. It's the only one in the world. And I instantly saw this and said, I'll buy it. Whatever you're asking, let me know and I will buy it. And he goes,
Awesome.
I'm not selling it. And I said, I don't blame you. I wouldn't sell it either. But hey, since it's just a body, let me paint it. I've got all the lowrider paint jobs that you could ever imagine. And in my head, I'm thinking, I probably wouldn't do that if it was my car. Just send it out. I may never get it back. So he said no. And the car's, from what I can guess, is still not painted, but it's motorized to be a full-on lowrider, and
That's up.
is badass. So
I'm a
talk
big
about,
lowrider fan. I'm used to listen to a lot of rap music, and definitely still do. But I'm Dr. Dre fan. You know them, cruising my 6'4".
exactly.
I'm a big fan of that. I definitely
Yeah.
made my 1/24th scale models try to jump up and down with some gold paint and stuff. And
Yes.
them days They are not over either. I guarantee you, we're going to try
Well,
to do some cool stuff with lowriders.
in
I
one
don't
of
know
my,
what, when, and where, but we will.
in one of my last interviews, I interviewed, and his name escapes me. I interviewed this guy from Compton, lives in Compton, is from Compton, and he may be the only person in Compton with a railroad layout. And he was very impressed by my lowrider. So I sent him some lowriders, and he put a little motorized motor underneath the layout with like I don't know, a
To make,
rod to make the car bounce up and down. I was like, yes,
oh,
that is awesome.
you did it. You did it. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's yours. It's yours. It was your art. Now we made it more art. It was,
Right,
that's
exactly.
reward in itself too. And that's
Right.
kind of like what I do. I mean, I make these ideas come out of my head and make these kits and stuff, and I let people design them and make their own ways from them. And that's the fun of it. I get to see them on their layout, and it's just like, wow, it really feels good. And that's really what it's all about for me. I mean, at the end of the day, that's really what I feel for it. What I want to get out of it is just seeing my work on other people and see what they can do to modify it, make it their own, is huge to me. And that is just basically the end all story. And I think everything else will grow off of that.
No, I mean, that, like I said, flattery, no, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So if you can build something and sell it and they get enjoyment out of it and they're taking pictures of it on their layout or whatever, great. Or if you can design something and they print it and make their own version of it and now it's on their layout and they love it and taking pictures of it, that's the greatest thing, because something that inspired them that you did is now being enjoyed by so many others, and
Mm-hmm.
it is the best. I
And
mean,
it doesn't stop there. I mean, they have friends that come over and look at their layout and they take pictures and
right,
show their friends. And it just spreads like wildfire. But really, it all comes back to your art and your design and your thought. You're
yeah,
putting it down on paper. Kind of fun. And it's kind of cool that it turns out that way. It is surreal. It's fake. I mean, it doesn't seem real. But,
right,
oh, wow, I just drew that last night and it's a real thing right now still.
right,
Still
exactly.
ranting on the 3D thing. I'm still shocked at how, fast and cheap these 3D printers are coming around. I mean, I've been into it for a while, and I started out and they were very crazy expensive.
Right,
Back then, now you could get them for dirt cheap for what the expensive ones were 10 years ago. And
exactly.
I'm still shocked at that. It's kind of cool.
Well, yeah, speaking of, you know, things that people love, like that Ghostbusters car, when I lit it up for the first time, so many people around the world wanted it. And I think I've sold probably 22, 23 of them. And I've got two more being built right now that are going to be lit up. And so many people love that car. And I did it just because I wanted it done. I didn't care about anybody else. I knew it would be cool if it could be done right. But once it was
Mm-hmm.
done, I was like, this is beyond cool. This is the coolest thing ever in this scale hobby to me. It was the coolest thing ever. Nobody could ever come close to reaching that scale. And then everybody wanted it. And I was like, oh, I don't want to really make other ones, but okay. And then I've made so many of them. And all those people, I would hope, really enjoy them because they're just really cool. When you see all those lights light up, it it's cool. And that's with like
I
police cars or
would
cop
imagine
cars.
they're lit up right now, or they're lit up still, and that's the thing.
Right. And I mean, even with like police cars or cop cars, you see all those lights on a police car or a cop car, an ambulance or a fire truck. Oh, you could put so many lights on all of those things with all different kind of light patterns.
Sure,
It's incredible.
sure. And it's endless too. And not one of them's gonna. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have them similar, but I mean, you can really customize it to the person's liking, and even
Oh yeah.
go as far as putting resistors on cars to make them look like their brake lights are lit, so you can put less of a resistor on the brake lights and more of one on all the other lights. And there's little tricks like that I'm learning from all these other builders that have been doing it. It's just so fun to take their knowledge and put it into my art. Wow, oh, this is so cool, and wow, this is, and then be able to tell their stories and tell this story and put it all together, and that's fun too in itself. But yeah, I definitely like lighting up vehicles, and that lately is my big niche, and I think I'm going to be pretty busy here for a while, and I'm definitely going to be letting a lot of them go and trading them and getting different ones and just trying to make the scene right, and making it correct to my eye. And and I get sick and tired of a truck. I want a blue truck instead of a red truck. Who knows what? But
Right.
though, it's gonna be, getting my stuff out there still and getting people some pretty cool stuff. And I like the fact that I've been lately putting batteries and switches in these trucks and trailers, and it makes everything to the point where you could put it anywhere in your layout. Put this trailer with this truck, or this truck with that trailer, and
Exactly.
you can turn the lights on and off, and you can make it look like they have deliveries with their headlights off, and it's pretty cool.
That is neat. I kind of, as much as I would like that, I probably wouldn't like that. I wouldn't use it probably, but I think it would be cool to have switches for the Ghostbusters cars. So you just have like the headlights on, or you just have, I don't know, the blinker on or whatever. But the car is just meant to sit there. It's not meant to like actually move. So to have all that functionality would be kind of be useless to me, because I wouldn't do it.
Sure.
I would never play with those switches, because why? Now, if it was remote control,
No. They're more for photographs.
right?
So you stage a photograph and then boom, then move on to the next. But it makes like that life really easy, and you can make some really, really cool photos and set up some really cool scenes like fast. And then, oh, you don't like it? Okay, let's put this one in. And oh wow, it's so interchangeable, and to have it so interchangeable and so accessible and movable, it just makes everything so much easier. And I think it's kind of cool. But there's going to be no end to it.
If I motorize any car, it'll be the Ecto, and I'll tie in somehow the motor that makes the car move, light up the lights, and only have the lights. I don't even know if I can do it. I kind of want only the lights to turn on when the car's moving. So when the car's not moving, it looks like it's parked. But then I might just do it to where the lights stay on with a switch on the controller or something. I don't know.
Yeah. You can do it. Radio Shack had some cars about 10 years ago. I seen our Radio Shacks all closed down, so I can't go into them anymore. But I'm sure they're online. But they had these little zip zap cars, and I'm sure you can make one of those things retrofitted in there and have some 3D printed suspension parts that hold your steering mechanisms. Yeah, I'm going to try it. I'm going to. It's going to ride on the rails with one of my semi trucks. It's going to be one of the heavy duty Brandt pickup or Brandt heavy duty rail trucks, and I'm going to do one that's going to be powered with lights and DCC. Maybe sound. I don't know. Maybe that's a far reach for that, but. Right. I think it should be accessible to have it to pull a couple of gondolas and cruise around the layout. I think that'd be kind of cool.
It sounds cool.
I mean, it'd be cool to have the sound of, like a semi truck sound horn and maybe a Jake brake coming through the. I don't know. We'll see. I know I'm a dreamer and I'm a believer, but I make a lot of my dreams come true. So. We'll see. Maybe in the next few years, we'll have a Brandt truck with a Peterbilt sound to it.
Well, that's funny you say that, because I don't need it to be motorized because I need the train to push it, but I want to get the DeLorean on the train tracks to light the DeLorean up, though. So the faster the car gets, the more light comes out of the car somehow. So it'd have to be in a system where the faster those wheels move, the more electricity hits those lights or something and makes them brighter.
You could probably put an N-scale decoder in that car and program it so you have like a light feature, because they have like strobe light effect features and stuff in decoders that you can actually have them strobe light effect. You could do like the flux capacitor. Is that what you're trying to talk about? Like that, like flickering or?
No, because I would think I'd need a hollow car.
It's been a while since I've seen the movie, so I can't really, recall on what was. But I do
So
remember the train pushing the car.
yeah, so I've got actually what I have um sitting my camera on is model car kits, model car boxes. So the backing of my phone has a magnet that it's sitting on this metal thing so it can hold
Oh, nice.
itself, but it's sitting on top of the magnet or on the top of the model car boxes. But the
Oh, the
pieces
spark.
that would light up would be this rib here that would light
Oh,
up
yeah.
blue, and I want it to light up brighter and brighter as the car went faster and faster. And then this bumperette rib right here that goes all the way around the bumper would light up blue.
I would talk to one like Soundtracks, send them an email and see if they have an N scale decoder that's programmable to do that. And maybe they'll have to customize program it. But I guarantee you, if they have that capability in an N scale decoder, you could fit that in there and somehow wire it to your motor and have it motorized. And I mean, there's hundreds of people out there with these radio control cars in Europe. You always say Europe over there. Somewhere over in Europe, they're radio controlling 187 scale cars.
That they're the leading people in the motorized remote control part of our hobby.
It's great too. I'm jealous.
Well, because not only do they make it drive, but they have the sound and they have the lights. They've got it all. So when the car turns left, the blinkers turn on, and when it turns right, the blinkers turn on. And when it backs up, the white lights come on. And I mean, they've got it all.
Yeah, it's jealous to the point where I want it now, and
Right.
I want to see what I can do with it, and I'm gonna see what I can do is how cheap is I can do it. I'm gonna say I have a lot of things that I took it apart, and I have a lot of micro motors and gears and all that. I'm gonna attempt to do the Brant truck first, but I think that'd be kind of cool to have one of my service trucks lit up and radio controlled driving around at a train show. I think it'd be kind of cool.
Well,
Even that, maybe just a radio controlled truck.
there was a guy at this train show that my train club and I was at, and he was on display. He wasn't selling anything because he just figured he'd do it last minute. But that's what he does. He remote controls like commercial vehicles, like big rigs and stuff. And he
Yeah.
had this big rig with a flatbed trailer on it, hauling a tractor, a bulldozer or something. And the truck drove, and then it parked, and then he didn't have the what are they called? The ramps motorized on the trailer. So he just flipped them with his finger, but then he picked up his other remote and backed down the bulldozer off of the trailer. And
That's
it was
top
pretty
notch.
cool.
That's it. Now have that on your movable diorama. I call my layout my movable diorama most of the time. This is pretty much what it is. I'm always setting it up different to make scenes and different
Right.
products come out, show them off.
Yeah, so that's the
it's kind
diorama.
of cool that it's revolving. But having motorized things and lit up things now is huge game changer in every aspect of it. I mean, the photographs to when you got people coming over looking at it, just self motivation to make more stuff.
yeah.
I mean, cool. It's just pretty cool. And then when I go to train shows, I bring all my light up stuff, and it's just really fun. Just the stories you hear people and the future projects that you're going to do for other people is fun too. And
Oh yeah.
it's fun. The hobby's never going to die, and I don't care who's saying it's dying. It's never dying. In fact,
Well,
I think it's get bigger and bigger.
I would say the train hobby isn't going to die. Other hobbies probably will. But
Yes.
trains, no. Because
But
it
even
just seems like
car building.
more and more things come out for this hobby, but not a lot of stuff is coming out for other hobbies. I mean,
Yeah.
they're still coming out, but not as much as the train side of this hobby world.
I know they don't have a lot of tractors in HO scale as far as like Elson Chalmers and different brands. I mean, they have their standard farmalls and stuff like that. So I know there's a downside in tractors. So we might have to come out with some tractors here. I think that might be kind of cool. It's
You
just a different
might
avenue.
come out with those.
I mean, they're fun. I have a 1939 Model B Allison Chalmers, so it'd be easy for me to model it up, and that would be the first one that I do, obviously. But they make this no 1/8 scale Allison Chalmers anything anymore that I can find. I think Allison Chalmers made one once, and it was like a promo thing that they came out with on a flat car, but it's like I can't find it anywhere. And if I did, it's still toy like. I want to make a model of it, and I think it'd be kind of cool to start a Allison Chalmers line.
I mean, if you, like you said, if you can imagine it and you got the means to create it, then you might be the one to create that whole entire line.
I think I'm going to try. Because I have the design for the Model B already parted up, and I just have to draw it up in CAD. And that's no biggie after I draw it up. The hard part's just drawing it up, figuring out how you're going to fit all the pieces together like a puzzle piece. But like I've been playing with Legos for my whole life, and now I'm getting my son into Legos. He's playing with it. That right there tells me how to build things right off the bat and how to make things look like they're supposed to be, but they're really just a part of the puzzle that puts your model tractor together. So I think it's going to be a fun project. I'm full of projects. I know I have a project on every finger of my hand right now, but it's definitely obtainable and definitely manageable. And I think we're going to have. I need a project on every finger, more or less.
That's the modeler's curse.
So when one goes down, but a tractor's on one of them, and I know it's going to make a lot of tractor fans out there. There's a lot of people that like to model them, and there's a lot of loopholes. There are a lot of missing links in certain tractor styles. That'd be kind of cool to have a universal tractor for a lot of different companies with a lot of attachments and stuff. I know there's a lot of builders out there that make a lot of construction equipment like that. Bravo, that's awesome. I mean, we're going to do that with something different, but I definitely like to do the oddball things. Definitely something that nobody else does. That definitely opens my eyes to, oh, hey, we can do more of this and less of that.
Doing stuff that nobody else does is such a huge reward because you're literally being the one to do it when nobody else is doing it. That's one of those, it's lonely at the top because you are the only one doing it. But the more you do it and the more you can offer it to other people to do, then you won't be at the top for very much longer because other people will join you. And that's great because there are some things I build that I'm still the only one building.
Yeah.
And I hoped it would catch on, but hey, if I'm the only one ever going to build it, then I've got the market covered.
Yeah, and you're having fun doing it. It ain't gonna die,
Right.
So that's good.
Yeah, and if nobody ever builds it, then the right person comes along and wants those, I can just sell it for whatever.
Yeah, right. It is cool getting ideas from other people too, and be like, if I get an idea from somebody about like something, I'm gonna take it, and I'll build it, and I'll give them one too. They're like, hey man, this wouldn't be possible without you, or if they give a lot of insight. I've got a lot of friends that give me pictures of maintenance away stuff, and one guy in particular helps me out on a lot. He's going to be rewarded with a bunch of cool stuff, and it's just something I like to do and grab different ideas of things that I do train watch a lot, and I see a lot all over that you can't get or nobody makes, and that was a huge problem for me. And I decided to take that problem and squeeze it, and take care of it, make everything that I can't have, and make it now, and make it tomorrow, and make whatever anybody else wants, and it's kind of fun doing that too.
See, that's what Mike Buddy did. He was creating his own version of vehicles that didn't exist off of vehicles that did exist. So say like a 61 Impala that Racing Champions made in 1/87 scale. Well, nobody made a four-door version or nobody made the station wagon version. So Mike went ahead and casted it and created his own version. And
it's awesome.
I do the same thing that you were saying. Give credit to the people that helped you get what you wanted, because my bud, he gave me so many resin castings of cars throughout the years that I still have plenty of unpainted, unbuilt resin castings from him that one day I'll get to. But he he was a great starter for anybody that wanted just passenger vehicles into this hobby, because he had a whole bunch of them, or he knew how to make them, and he was just nice enough to help you out with whatever
That's
you needed.
awesome.
And then, with 3D printing, you don't need to really make anything out of the old way of making resin castings. Now you can just resin print it.
Sure.
So, yeah,
Yeah, it's
but
definitely a danger.
always give credit where credit's due. In other words,
Oh,
people helping
absolutely.
you, let everybody know they helped you.
Oh, absolutely. And I definitely love to reward that to its fullest. And the money thing isn't there. It's more or less the honor of that. Wow, man, you really look what we did together. More like
Right.
that's oh, we did this together, really, in a way. I mean,
Yeah.
it,
Well,
it wouldn't happen.
that's like those Ghostbusters cars. I don't do any of the lighting. I make it look like a Ghostbusters car and then send it over to East Coast Circuit. And every single time, I always shout them out, because without them, I wouldn't have all these cars built for these customers.
Yeah,
So they
yeah,
have
yeah,
to get the credit.
yeah. And their consistency, they're great work. Wow. I mean, their cars. They're when I was growing up, seeing them things all lit up and on their stands. That's really what influenced me to do mine, and that really is seeing these guys do that and
Right.
seeing the different styles of trucks and different. I mean, now I look at every single truck going down the highway and look at their lights, look at every service truck go by and look what the options are on it,
Yeah.
taking pictures. Like, what are you doing taking a picture? I'm just looking. I might make that. What are you talking about, mate? Yeah, make that option on that truck to make it on my trucks. I mean, it's fun to do that, really. And in fact, I got like 100 different parts almost on service truck parts, and it's just never ending, and it never will end because there's always going to be something new coming around the corner. And
Oh, yeah.
the fact you can have it the next day really makes this hobby okay. What else? Throw at me. So yeah, I definitely enjoy like the I like to call the OG Mike Buddy and Ken Pattersons. I followed them guys for ever. They're the soul of everything about me coming up and watching Mike and seeing all his cars and trucks and all his electrical
Right.
trucks or that really there made me want to make more trucks and service trucks. Man, I can't
And
find any of these trucks. What's going on? Where are they all? Well, let's make them. I can't.
exactly.
If I can't find it, I'm going to make it. And
Right.
we one thing another. Now we got a whole truck line.
So with you doing LED lighting on your own, what would you say had the most LEDs you put in a trailer or truck or vehicle so far?
I'd say this this semi. It's got the lights on top. It's got lights on the fuel tanks. It's got lights on the stairs. It's got lights on the tail. Um, it did have headlights and something grounded. I'm noticing these cast diecast cabs, they have ground issues when the LED leads touch a metal part and when the glue doesn't cure right away. And, it might lead to a short or a short circuit after and not work. So I had to cut some LEDs out of this, but this one had 27 LEDs in it, I think, at one time. So I cut out a lot of them. And then I tied it to the trailer that's up here. I'm not going to take it off, but it's got the tamper on it. Actually, I can't get that.
Well, I've got pictures from your Facebook posts of that truck all lit up, so I'll put those pictures on there.
So it's got a lot of LEDs in here, and basically everything is just sandwiched in and snaked around all of the cracks and crevices that were available. And there's not too many areas where you needed to cut around, but I was able to get all the wires, and I had actually a battery where I can turn on and turn off with the switch. And it's a micro switch. It's held and it's hidden. And this truck can be mounted on any truck that I have on my layout in any position and in any location.
That's cool.
And I was toying with the idea of permanently mounting my trucks and cars, but that's just, what do I do? Everything I need to do, I got to take apart and clean and move, and I do like an annual layout cleaning where I'll take everything off the layout and take all the cars out, clean everything, and get everything situated nice and clean, and it makes everything operate like a well-oiled machine. And that's just how it's going to be for the rest of its life. And I think having cars being able to move and very mobile, I should say, being placed where you want them is the way to go. And I mean, some people are like, oh yeah, it's not fun replacing batteries, but man, I've had some of these batteries I left them on for 2 days straight, and they're still trucking. Same battery. So, I mean, it's okay. I don't care. I mean, it takes 2 seconds to replace a $2 battery.
I tell East Coast to put the leads out so it can hook up to a 9-volt for the Ectos. So one of these
yes,
all lit up can run an 8-hour model show and not probably 3 times. So say 20, maybe a 24-hour period, maybe, or 20, whatever.
So
Yeah, couldn't run straight without dying, but any longer than that, and I got to buy a whole new 9-volt battery. But
sure.
And I've run through so many 9-volt batteries, taking that little car to shows and whatnot.
Yeah, you might want to think about the lithium-ion batteries. I have a 3-volt switch and a battery pack, and I buy the $3 batteries, and I'm not kidding. I left them on the layout for 2 days straight, and it's still on. I still use it. It's on and off. So I'm sold on that, and that right there told me, hey, I'm just gonna put these in everything I have. And I put them in the tampers. I put them in pretty much everything. I could take the battery packs out. Yeah. I mean, the battery packs, you take them apart, they contain a micro switch, and you can take this micro switch and put it anywhere. I mean, anywhere. I put it in a lowboy. I mean, come on. That's the tightest vehicle you could possibly get, and it went in there no problem. So I mean, these switches are amazing, and I get them off of eBay, or not eBay, Amazon. And
nice.
Yeah, you can get them, and they're reasonably cheap. You just get them in a pack. You just got to buy your batteries. You could buy your batteries off of Amazon as well, or the stores, and you could buy good deals with them. Energizer, I think they're the 2025 batteries. They last forever, and they're thin. They're streamlined, so they fit everywhere. I mean, I fit them in the cabs of the campers, and they just fit right on. You could fit them anywhere.
Yeah, I guess I could do that with one of these cars, but you figure the car is just the width of a regular passenger vehicle, so it would have to be one of those really tiny batteries if you're going to stick it underneath. But the cool thing about these particular models is they're hollow on the inside, so you can get all the wiring in, but you would also be able to yeah, you can barely see it, but there's holes in there. There you go.
I see it. I'm just looking. I've admired. Looks so cool.
So you can fit all the wiring in there that you need, but you could also fit a battery, I guess, in there if you
could
battery.
But no, with the cars, I tend to stay away from the batteries in the cars. Like this is something I kind of do for the cars. I'll leave the 2 leads out, but I actually have the battery container here with the switch, and nice. I can turn the lights on and off. And this has been on my layout lit at multiple train shows and left on for 2 days, and it's still the same battery, and it's still going, and it'll probably last a week with just left on. That's and great. It'll stay on. I didn't do any of the other lights. I did drill a couple of the headlights. I have a bunch of Challengers. I'm gonna get a bunch of them going around the layout so I can kind of move them around, and I'm gonna do the tail lights on a couple of them. But having this and having these real thin wires, you could barely see them on the layout, so it's very good to hide and very easy to hide. Right. But the switches are really awesome. And yeah, you can, these have a resistor in them. I had to warm them down a little bit. It was very bright at first, but there's a color chart that I go off of, and for resistors, and I picked the heat and I picked brightnesses and stuff like that. So you can tone them down. I think I'm going to do the next Challenger with the orange lights inside of the headlights and then white headlights. So it'll have the running lights and then the headlights, and then it'll have red brake lights. And then those will be a package.
Really cool. You can figure out, and I know they don't make it, especially for this scale, or much less any scale this small. Get the halo light, and then maybe a light in the center of that. That would be
all right.
cool.
I'm gonna try this, and next podcast that we do, I'm gonna see, maybe next year or something like that. We'll come back and we'll be like, hey, we'll see where we're at.
You can manipulate
I want
it.
that.
I know how you can manipulate it.
I'm gonna try to do it with a fiber optic. I'm gonna see maybe getting a fiber optic tube, and using the tube itself as the halo part, maybe mounting an LED behind somewhere else where you can't get any backlighting. I'm gonna figure out. We'll figure it out. It'd be cool. Wouldn't that be cool to
have? There's two types of wire out there that light up, and I used one lighter called LE wire, illuminated wire, I guess, for the Mel's Diner blue strip around the roof.
Yep.
And that's like the smallest diameter they make, I think, is like 2 millimeter diameter for that. But they make another kind of wire called laser wire, and that is less than 1 millimeter. It's got to be less than a half a millimeter.
Really?
Because it's super thin, like a hair that completely lights up bright as day. But
my holes
that
the holes that I put in are about 1 millimeter. So they're that halo, we'd have to figure out. Yeah, I need some of that close stuff for my gas station.
Right. So this laser wire, it's a hair thin size wire, and it's got two ends that literally charge that wire. So I don't know how you could use that, but on top of that, I want to use that so bad for so many things because it's so thin and so bright. But on top of that, that laser wire for like a 1 foot strand of it is over $100. And I can't see spending $100 on something so short that has two ends that I can't just cut to make the length that I need.
Yeah, I want to make it at least like maybe 5 millimeters long, and I could do it for the Challenger taillights. That strip light all the way across the back.
Exactly. I mean, because that would be awesome just to outline that whole tail light up. Because you could do that with the Dodge Durango too. Durango? Whatever Dodge.
The Durangos, all the Dodge lines pretty much. Yeah. Right. That would be cool. And then you could put LEDs with a less resistor as taillights in between. Right, exactly. So it would look like a multi-lighted unit, and it would be just something like an FX special. And I think it'd be kind of cool. We'll see what we can come up with. I mean, it's a long shot, but we got a lot on our plate. But I mean, I'm definitely looking at different lighting opportunities all the time. And I'm not going to stop lighting up my stuff. And I'm going to only have more projects to light up. And I'm lighting up the Tampers now. I don't know what I'm going to light up next. I even have their laser carts lit up too. I lit up one of the Tampers laser carts. So when you set it on the tracks, it actually lights up. And when you take it off and set it on, it's wireless too. So you can just set it on the tamper and it turns off. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, wow. That's neat.
Yeah. And I just did that before the podcast. So I got some pictures I'm going to post out. And I'm definitely having fun with it. And we're going to have a lot more fun with it in the future. I know we're going to have a lot of funny pictures coming out too. Because I got a pretty personality, and I think it's pretty cool.
And that's what we need in this hobby. There's a lot of serious people that just do serious things, but sometimes things need to be funny to get you, get your blood flowing,
yes,
make you laugh,
and serious at the same time. because that happens in real life. You know, you're gonna
Yeah.
have a guy falling over the edge of the layout, like I've been seeing some of these minifigure that little
Yeah.
things like we got to have this in the model railroading world,
Yeah.
and I really enjoy seeing it and being a part of it, and I'm definitely going to be bringing way more than I'm going to be, you know,
Well,
can
it's
talk
funny.
about now. Not going to end.
There is a guy that was offering figurines in 1/64 scale of two characters named Bluntman and Chronic. And I don't know if you know who those are. And
I think
I
I
said,
do.
can you scale them to 187 scale? He goes, I've got a few 187 scale figures, so let me see if I can scale them down. And then he painted them all that stuff. And I was like, all right, take your time, because if you can get it, I want it. And I don't care what you want for it. I'll pay it, because nobody else in the world is going to have it in the scale. He did it.
Yeah.
He painted them up, and they are perfect scale for 187 scale. It's like, I've got the
Now,
world's
see, I would
only
have that in
people.
my food truck court, and I would have like a little weed stand or something going on. I don't know,
Yeah,
something cool, and I would definitely have like just a really cool. You could bring any sort of culture you want in here with
yeah,
model
right.
railroading. Really bring it just your mind can wander in any
Yeah,
direction and be all right, and it's awesome.
exactly.
And model railroading is never going to be the same anymore. I mean, I don't care who's saying what. It's going to be. We're about to see some crazy stuff that I don't even know what I'm about to build yet. So
Well,
we'll see what this brings up with.
wait till you see what I'm coming up with, because I've got this crazy 2 module thing. It's going to be the ultimate of all ultimates TV movie related diorama module that has ever been built. There's going to be
Nice.
so much crap on this stuff that is all related to everything we've all grown up with within the last 40 years. It's going to
Wow.
be incredible. I just got to finish it. I got to get started working
That's
on
all.
it to finish it.
I'm not going to say anything, but I seen a picture you posted today, and it really got my blood going.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of everything in that picture you posted, so I know I am going to be a big fan of that.
Yeah. I mean, I've been buying these figurines from Indonesia that are all TV movie figurines that it's just going to be crazy. Like my movie backlot tour module I already have, I put so much crap on. This is going to be 10 times more than that TV
Did you
movie
have CT's
module.
helicopter?
Who?
CT from Magnum PI?
I've seen somebody with that helicopter.
Okay, it wasn't you though.
Eric Blocker.
Somebody made it at 1/87 scale, and
I
I'm
think
like, I
Eric
was
Block.
jaw hit the ground watching it. I think it was. I thought it was you, and I was going to ask you about it because that would be cool. Seeing CT's helicopter and Magnum PI.
You know what? I think Hot Wheels makes that with the paint scheme and everything.
Okay,
It's
because it was
supposed to be 1/64
and
scale,
red.
but it's
Yeah,
not 1/64 scale. It's 1/87 scale. It just
there
needed
was
a
a
tweak on that.
1/87 scale one because they did the whole Magnum PI thing.
Yeah, it was Eric. I think his last name is Block. Eric Block.
Okay.
He's from Europe too, somewhere, or
Yeah, there's
Germany,
some
or
builders out there, man. I can't believe how many cool builders are just you know and who knows who we're inspiring, and that's really what I think is cool too. But the fact that the builders out there, anything you can think of, somebody's building it or
oh
built
yeah,
it, or they
right,
could show you how to build what you want. And we're at that age where you can have anything you want in scale form.
right.
And how we're going
Well,
to make them move.
the reason I was telling you before we recorded that I got the Harry Potter train is because I'm gonna build underneath the movie scene that's up on top. I've got these train modules for the train club that I'm in that I'm gonna put a ton more track on, and I'm gonna build train terminals or train subway scenes, like section them off so it's a different movie in every section. So I'm gonna
Oh
have a
wow.
whole entire Harry Potter terminal with the archways where they're going through
Holy
the brick
cow.
wall, and the train's all in the background and stuff. So it looks like
Yeah,
they're getting ready to departure. And right,
that's gonna be
right,
cool.
right after that scene, I'm gonna have this outdoor scene where it's a perspective scene because I've got the school in like this big. The whole school is about this big. So it's gonna be a perspective scene where that's sitting way off in the back, and then the train's up
Ah,
front.
fourth perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, where Harry Potter's fighting one of the bad guys. And I want to get LEDs on the end of their wands so they flash while they're fighting each other.
Sure. Sure.
But yeah, this whole thing
Yeah,
is
you
going to be so crazy that it's going
they
to
got
blow
flat
everybody's mind.
LED, got everything to make that scene happen.
Yeah, and I want to get fog too.
It's
I've got this guy that had this fog machine on one of his in-scale layouts,
oh
and I said,
yeah.
"How'd you get that much fog going on? It looked like literally just fog just pouring out. Like I
Like
didn't know what he was
He-Man,
using, and he told me.
yeah.
So I'm gonna get that too. So fog's just hovering all over the bottom of the ground.
And
It'll be
that's gonna
awesome.
be really cool.
Yeah,
That's gonna look really cool.
but yeah, like because the scene or the modules I'm using are train modules. Trains still have to go through it for the train club, but the parts that aren't gonna have trains go through it, they're just gonna have trains sitting on it. They're gonna be sectioned off, so each one's like a different movie. I want to do a Matrix one where they're Neo's fighting Mr. Smith in the first movie, in that have like a green tint on it with a subway
Yeah.
scene where they're fighting. I think that'd be cool.
Backlight it with some LEDs. I mean,
Yeah,
you could do that.
yeah,
The
exactly.
fog will be bad. That'd be pretty cool.
Right.
I think that'd be yeah.
Yeah, I've just got these plans and I got to get it all worked out. I haven't, it's actually February 4th and I haven't even started designing it. It's all in my head, but I don't have it. I'm running out of time. I have all the time in the world, but I'm running out.
It's exactly how it always happens. You just never have enough time because you have so much time. I have so
Right.
many projects, but I think that keeping a lot of projects on your hands, it makes everything kind of flow better because you don't get bored right away.
Oh,
And
exactly.
I think it helps play hand in hand.
Well, and you're constantly doing something. Like you said, you're not going to get
Mhm.
bored. You're not just procrastinating. You're not just wasting time. You're not just doing nothing. You're always doing something.
Yeah. And you're going to be doing something on one project one day, and boom, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I got to do that on the scene with the Harry Potter. Oh my gosh, I could use that
Yeah.
with this sword. One thing is
Right.
going to lead into another, and it's just like a puzzle. It's going to fall apart, and boom, there it is. That's kind
Yeah.
of how I'm enjoying seeing things work lately. A lot
My
of the
biggest
projects that I'm
issue,
dreaming
and it
of now.
sounds like it might be your issue too, with you say you clean your layout like every couple of months or every half a year or whatever.
Once
Is
a year, I do. Yep.
there's so much dust in my house. It is unbelievable. You would think I was living in a desert or something. So I need to put, I want to put like a plexiglass cover over the module, and the module's going to already be like this high, like probably 2 feet total in height, because you got to have the trains go underneath it. The train module is already at least six inches tall, and then you got to elevate your scene that you're doing so trains can run underneath it smoothly and not get caught by wires or whatever, and then everything on top of it. So then I've got to put a plexiglass cover even on top of that. And I don't know. I
Yeah,
doubt they're gonna do the plexiglass cover, but I
I
want to
wouldn't,
because of the
I
dust.
wouldn't,
I
I
just want it to
wouldn't.
be able to lift off and on. But the problem is you would have to have that custom made because I don't know how to do that. And
Yeah,
I don't have the money to have a custom made plexiglass cover over that anyways.
yeah. Where do you even get that made
Exactly. Exactly.
at?
And that's my biggest problem. Like that thing's gonna be so much detailed TV movie crap all over it.
Oh wow.
Dust is just gonna attract towards it because it says hell with you. That's what the dust is gonna be.
I mean, like you're saying, Vic Smith. I've seen some of his videos where he has his roads out. They're like a satin hue to it, like he sprays them set, and then they're easily wiped down and wiped up, and he could vacuum everything really easy. And that's kind of the same training I've thought of.
Never cleans that. He says he's got this crazy air conditioning system in his house that filters all the dust, where he never cleans that layout, he says.
Huh.
So it never gets dust. I don't know what he's done, but I need that, whatever he's doing.
Furnace filters every week.
Right.
But either way, I use that similar thing with my roads, and it feels like everything vacuums up easier. But I have everything glued down anyway, so everything vacuums up pretty well. And I stay pretty clean, and I don't have a lot of the dust does collect, and you can see it. But if you stay on the rails and you stay everywhere and keep everything well dusted ahead of time, you can stay ahead of the game pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I usually take all my stuff off and put it away in little display cases so it doesn't get dusty, like all the cars, and I take all the people off, so when I move those modules, they don't fall off and get lost or whatever, because I do set them up in different locations and different sections of the module. Every time I go to a show, nothing's in the same place. And I've done that for years just for that reason. But I mean, with this new thing I'm building, I still feel like I'm in that same mind frame. If I want to be able to take everything off of it, just leave the buildings and the streets and the lights, but take all the people and all the cars off. But with the amount of crap that's going on, it's going to be so much work every time I go set up those modules at a show or something.
It's never the same either. It's always going to be a little bit different, or something's going to break. It's never going to go back to. You're always going to have, oh man, I got to glue this down. You're going to see this glue marking. So I try to make things so universal, and with the foam base and the foam board that I use and the foam road lays that I use, everything is kind of stick and play. And if you stick another hole into the foam, who cares? It looks like a hole in the concrete, and it really does. And I have some sand. I use a lot of grout, sand and grout for a lot of the ground cover and stuff like that, and my cracks and my roads and all that. And sometimes I intentionally put holes in my roads and then fill them in with little tiny pebbles and stones, and then glue them in there, because I see that everywhere. And it just assists in that. And then me basically destroying the layout by putting in another sign in a different hole and leaving a hole, then destroy it. I'm just creating another Earth-like object.
Exactly.
And I think those details really add more than they take away. And I think using the right materials too is a key, because you could glue everything down, but are you going to need to?
Exactly.
And then that plays into trial and error, because you don't know if you're going to need to glue it down until you do. And then, so there's a lot of trial and error that goes onto this hobby. I think that's a big thing that everyone's got to deal with.
Well, like that Harry Potter scene with they have the flashes at the end of their wands. I mean, that's going to have to be glued down so it never moves, because you can't move that constantly and expect that wire to stay on the tip of the wand or whatever. So some of those things that are animated or lit up like that is going to have to stay. And I might just have to keep everything and just glue everything down. It's just all the dust that's in this house. Drives me crazy. And then if you were to take it and try to dust it just gently with all those little tiny figurines, say all over the module, you just break all those figurines doing that. So I don't know what I'm gonna do, but
what do you stick your figurines down with?
Well, I mean, even if you put glue, the figurines are 187 scale figurines, so their legs are this 2 hair lengths width. And it's, if you take
vacuum it up, but you're going to suck the figurines that get loose up. So you got to have a problem. I guess you have to weigh the caliber of the problem. I would go for the vacuum deal, because I've been vacuuming my layout for a while, and I'm not losing any detail. In fact, the details that I do lose, if I were to lose, they're just like traffic cones that I group up in my utility area. So I know I'm not going to suck them up. So it's really, it pays off. And if you do suck some ballast up and you leave a hole, oh well, we'll just fill it back up and re-glue it down, and that'll happen next time.
Right,
If you
right.
have that throughout everything, I guess you'd be all right. But I definitely would look at the vacuuming. I think that'd be more efficient for going to different shows and stuff, because you could always get a small travel vacuum with like a small, like a hose on it. But just to take apart everything is, on my layout is it's a long task. I mean, I
Oh,
do
it
it all
is.
but it's fun to kind of set it up a little bit different here and there. You do kind of resort to looking at some pictures how it looked at before, but it's
Yeah.
fun when you kind of get to play with it, and it doesn't have to be the same. It really does. Like with the car show, I try to have we have a lot of things in here in Detroit called cruise nights, and there's like 3 or 4 of the night every night, sometimes. And the cars are in different locations every time you go to it. So, but you got some
Yeah.
of the same cars that go to the same show so it's okay to have the same cars, just put them in different locations. But
I will
yeah,
say, being a huge car guy that I am, it is so amazing. And I know it's only for the weather, but it is so amazing how California and Southern California became the car mecca of the world and not Detroit, because that's where all the cars were built, is
crazy,
Detroit. So
crazy.
it's weird that Detroit is even where it is. They should have moved it to the west.
Right?
So
I
everything
think
they
they
built
tried.
lasted
It
forever.
never. Yeah, it's got so much culture in Detroit, and
Right.
I can't tell you how much I love staying here, and so much I modeled it. So I
Yeah.
definitely enjoy talking about it, and I enjoy modeling Detroit to the point where I picked areas all around Detroit. And I tried to take the best of the railroading area and put it on my layout. And now it's to the point where, oh man, there's so much more. And so I'm going to build a second layout, the second layout. So we're going to have an upper deck layout. It's going to be all snow, Michigan themed, and I
Yeah.
think it'll be kind of.
That'll be cool. That's what you need those maintenance away trucks for.
Yep. That, and I think with the snow, the yellow tampers and the maintenance stuff will pop with photographs. I think that'd be some pretty cool stuff coming in the future.
And then if you do snow, I mean, Brian Donato, I think is how you pronounce his last name. He does those plow trucks like crazy. That's his.
I know exactly what
That's
you're
him.
talking about.
Yeah.
I know what you're
That's
talking
what
about.
he does.
Yep.
So
I've seen some pretty awesome trucks and cars, and there's so many good builders out there.
right. Well, my lowriders aren't going to fare very well in that snow, so they'll just stay down here with me.
Yeah. No, they're not going to do good. They stay in the garage for the foremost.
Right.
Most part.
Well, like I said to everybody, I'll put pictures of what we were talking about over the video so you have an idea of what he was saying, and like his truck with all the lights. I've got pictures of that from Facebook of the lights all lit up too. So you guys will be able to see that too. I don't know, man. You got anything else you want to say?
No, man, it was a blast, and tell you, I can't wait till the next time and see where we're at.
There
Maybe
will
we can
be a
come up with
next
these Halo lights.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. We'll have to do cool stuff.
I was gonna tell you, I think you can manipulate, if you want to 3D print the car again, you manipulate that headlight to be hollow with a ring in the middle. So obviously it can't be hollow, not hollow. Print it out to where it makes a hollow ring with just that, like a little hair finger holding the circle, like the intake circle.
Yeah, you
And
could keep the supports at the top and bottom.
yeah, and then what you do is you keep that ring solid in the back, put the LED back there, so only the hollow part that didn't print will light up. But
I'm gonna,
that would be a
yeah,
big,
we're
huge trial
gonna
and
play
error,
with that. There's gonna
Yeah.
be a lot of trial and error on that, but I definitely think it's gonna be.
Or even if you don't
animal.
have the pigtails up at the top and bottom, you just had it at the bottom, so that now you get this whole entire halo like that. But yeah,
We might,
yeah,
yeah. I'm gonna look at the real thing and see and just analyze them how they did that, and look at different ways and different styles. I know Audi and a couple of different car companies have different styles, and maybe hey, maybe they got one that we can maybe make the entire support and then lead it into an LED that's totally external. I
right.
don't know. We'll figure, but whatever it is, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do an HO scale.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. That'd be really awesome. Well, it's 9:30 here. It's 9:30 there.
Awesome.
I gotta go to work tomorrow.
Nice. Well, I'm
So
gonna go back to work. I'm gonna go light up a couple more cars.
nice, 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 nice. Well, man, it was great talking to you, Tom. I really enjoyed it. And like I said before we started recording this, we were talking for a whole hour trying to figure all this out. So we were talking a lot longer than all you guys got to hear. And maybe if there was an unedited version, which none of that was recorded, so that you'll never know. But if there ever was, you'd want to hear it. But like always, I'll put the link to his Facebook page on the description, so you can check him out personally, or you can ask him questions about whatever you want to, or you can just look him up on the 187 scale group. Just type his name in, Tom Orlando, and he'll pop up. You'll see all the pictures that he's posted. I mean, half of them or a quarter of them are going to be on this video that you've already watched. So, with that being said, Tom, it's a pleasure. We'll do this again.
Pleasure.
For
Let's do
everybody
it.
watching or just listening, if you're still listening, thank you. And don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you later.
Peace.
Hold on, just gonna pop. Well, everybody, that was Tom Orlando. Really cool guy. We didn't get into too much. We actually got into more, like I said, before the recording started. I just Zoom did something at the beginning of this year that I was not expecting. And it really screwed the first hour that we could have been talking for up a lot, because I couldn't figure it out and I couldn't get it to work. But finally did get it to work, and this is what the result was. But yeah, Tom, he's a really cool guy, and we are definitely going to do another video, another interview. Um, he'll show us more of what he's got and probably show us his layout. But like I said, I'm going to show you guys his layout, or pictures that he's got up on Facebook of his layout over the video, so you guys get a better idea of what Tom's all about and what he models. But anyways, this is the first interview I've done in a while. I've reached out to a number of you, and too busy. It's holidays, I get it. So I'm not mad at you at all. Other ones, just not wanting to do it because you're shy. I get it. But if you become not shy and you want to do it, just reach out to me. We can do it anytime, because I'm free. I am working on other interviews, but just like all the interviews before this one, kind of go nowhere. So I'm trying, and we'll see what this 2023 comes. Either way, I'm going to have model show coverage regardless. Shows I didn't even go to. I'm going to have plenty of photos of those. And you'll know which ones I've gone to. Ones I've gone to have video and photos. Ones I haven't gone to, only photos. That'll be the tell hint on if I've been to that show or not. But anyways, there is a Patreon link in the description if you choose to want to help, because that Patreon can help with gas, getting to these different shows, and could help with some equipment that I might need. You might hear the audio a little different from what I'm used to, because my earbuds, I didn't charge before this interview, dummy me. So it could help with all kinds of things, but that's up to you. I'm not asking for any of it. It's literally there if you want to help, but if you don't, it is what it is. So until the next episode, you guys have a great day. Have a great night. I hope you enjoyed this interview. And stay tuned. There'll be more. See you later.